It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this one-day state-level webinar on emerging issues in commerce and economics, jointly organized by Department of Commerce and Department of Economics in association of IQAC Shantipur College. I am Dr. Nobendu Bosak as organizing secretary, with Dr. Prosenjit Das as convener and Mr. Chandan Noskar as co-convener. Will host today's event. We appreciate you joining us today to witness upcoming informative sessions. First and foremost, we would like to thank our patrons, Dr. Brojo Kishore Goswami, President of Governing Body, Shantipur College, Dr. Subroto Roy, Teacher in Charge and Secretary, Governing Body, Shantipur College, and also Dr. Deepankar Bhattacharya, Convener, IQAC Shantipur College, who extend their cooperation in every aspect to conduct the webinar. We would also like to extend a special welcome to our esteemed resource persons, Dr. Shapon Sarkar, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, University of Calcutta, and Ms. Shashwati Chakraborty, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. Sir and Madam, we all eager to hear from you. Shantipur College, established in 22nd of July 1948 under the patronage of Pandit Lakshmikanta Moitra, and facilitate education to the students in all three disciplines: science, arts, and commerce. This college has 15 departments and cater a number of undergraduate students since these years. Our college is affiliated to University of Kolkata under Noida district. The college plays a key role in imparting academic assignments since its inauguration. Commerce education in this college was introduced during 1965-66 with a general course, and later on, honors course in accountancy has been introduced in 1973-74 under evening shift. From evening shift via morning shift, the stream merged with the mainstream, the day shift, in the year 2003. During a long and glorious journey, the department produced a number of students who are either securing in the pioneer institution, in abroad, or in the country. On the other hand, Department of Economics also contributes knowledge resources to the society with its academic exercises. Always, we again provide our warm welcome to the patrons, resource persons, faculties, research scholars, and others who are present as participants. We hope all of us will find this webinar informative and beneficial to cater academic developments. A question answer session is available at the end of the lecture of our esteemed resource persons. So please raise your questions one by one to our resource persons at the question answer session. A special request to all the participants that please keep your microphone in mute mode unless required to speak during the webinar, and also submit your valuable feedback form to be issued at the end of this webinar to obtain e-certificate. Let's make the most of this opportunity to learn and share knowledge. A warm welcome again to all the teachers, research scholars, students, and others for being here. And now let's begin. According to program, my next duty, I would like to invite Dr. Subroto Roy, teacher in charge of Shantipur College, to share few words for us. Sir, are you here, sir?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Boshak. A very good morning to all. I, on behalf of Shantipur College, welcome you all to join the webinar today. I appreciate the sincere involvement and proficient engagement of the HOD of Commerce, Dr. Navendra Boshak, and HOD of Economics, Dr. Prasenjit Das, and all the faculties of their departments. My special thanks goes to Dr. Dipankar Bhattacharya, coordinator of IQAC, and Dr. Anirban Bhattacharya, convener of the seminar subcommittee, for assisting, cooperating, and stepping forward to any academic events of my college. I hope the first lecture of today's webinar on the topic Sustainable Development, Goals and Role of Business by Dr. Shapon Sarkar, and the second talk on the topic Recent Issues in Technology Licensing by Ms. Shashwati Chakraborty will highly benefit the students and other participants attending the webinar. I heartily wish the webinar a remarkable success. Finally, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants and the respected dignitaries attending the webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Roy, for your clinical observations. We express our heartfelt gratitude for your extended motivation and support to conduct the webinar. Now, I would like to share with you that due to some important assignments, our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Dipankar Bhattacharya, not able to attend this seminar, but he sent his message regarding this webinar for us. Therefore, on behalf of him, I would read it out. Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome you all to this insightful webinar on emerging issues in commerce and economics from IQAC Shantipur College. In today's rapidly global landscape, understanding the shifting paradigm in commerce and economics has never been more important. This platform brings together distinguished speakers, researchers, and students to explore current trends, challenges, and innovations. Shaping the future of these fields, we hope this session fostered through provoking discussions and meaningful collaborations. Once again, a warm welcome to all. On behalf of his message, I would like to thank Dr. Bhattacharya for his insightful, deep-rooted thoughts and overall cooperation towards the seminar. Thank you again. Thank you, sir. Now, it's my duty to introduce our first resource person. Our first resource person is eminent speaker, CMA, Dr. Shapon Sarkar, Associate Professor, University of Calcutta, Kolkata. Dr. Sarkar has an illustrative academic career. He was the gold medalist in MCOM 2005 from University of Calcutta. He completed his MPhil in 2006 and PhD on the topic Information Efficiency in Indian Stock Markets in 2013 from the same university. Dr. Sarkar is also qualified cost and management accountant, CMA, and secured All India Rank 4 in June 2009. He is an associate member of Institute of Cost Accountants of India since 2012. He is also qualified chartered financial analyst and an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts of India. He also holds master's degree in strategic finance from the IQAC University, Tripura. Dr. Sarkar has a vast experience of more than 17 years of teaching corporate financial reporting, financial management, risk management, and business research methods. His academic and research contribution includes more than 40 articles in reputed national and international journals. He edited volumes with several paper presentations in seminar conferences with 2 Best Paper Awards. He has also authored 6 books on subjects including financial management, auditing and assurance, and mutual funds. His latest publications, Consolidated Financial Statements as per Indian accounting standards, have been widely acknowledged as and one of the most comprehensive titles on consolidated of group companies. He has successfully guided MPhil and PhD scholars also. He also holds certain key administrative positions in the Department of Commerce, University of Calcutta. Sir, now I would like to request you to deliver your lecture on the topic Sustainable Development Goals and Role of Business. Sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for this nice introduction. Respected TIC Shantipur College, respected coordinator IQAC Shantipur College in absentia, respected HOD Commerce Shantipur College, respected other teachers and dear students from Shantipur College, and also teachers and dear students, PhD scholars from various other colleges attending this webinar. A very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank the authority of Shantipur College for inviting me to this webinar for addressing the August gathering. I'm really feeling privileged for the same. Now, under the broader theme of emerging issues in commerce and economics, today my topic for presentation will be Sustainable Development Goals and Role of Business. Let me now share the screen. Is this screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let us start with the core theme, introduction of the core theme. The economic development of a nation often comes at the cost of societal inequity and environmental degradation. As a result, though such development ensures current achievements, they fall short of the future expectations. This is why experts and activists around the world advocate for sustainable development, which can essentially provide a solution to the impending problems of the world, including poverty, lack of quality education, health, social inequity, and deprivation of economic resources. Sustainable Development Goals issued by the United Nations offers a shared blueprint to combat these problems through a global partnership to ensure peace and prosperity for people and the planet. However, effective implementation of these goals require a joint effort on the part of the government, business, and the society at large. This presentation highlights the role of business in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, let us start with the concept of sustainability. What is sustainability? Sustainability refers to the ability to continue any practice in the long term without creating any negative impact on the environment, society, or economy. In short, sustainability is all about balancing people, planet, and prosperity to create a more resilient and just future. The concept sustainability has 3 broader dimensions: environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and social sustainability. While environmental sustainability talks about protecting the ecosystem, reducing pollution and carbon emission, using non-renewable resources wisely in order to protect the habitat for the flora and fauna and also to conserve natural resources for the future generations. On the other hand, economic sustainability talks about promoting long-term economic growth and ensuring stable livelihood and fair business practices in order to ensure growth and prosperity of the nation. And finally, social sustainability talks about supporting human rights, equity, and community well-being, providing access to education, healthcare, and employment in order to ensure social equity and justice. Sustainable development, the term sustainability, can be used in multiple contexts. It is often found to be integrated more with the development process of a nation. Accordingly, we can define sustainability as a practice of meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. This definition was given by Brundtland Commission in 1987. Therefore, sustainable development is all about balancing the economic growth, environmental stewardship, and social equity. It is a holistic approach which emphasizes the interconnectedness of various systems and encourages policies that promote long-term sustainability while addressing the immediate challenges. Now, what is sustainable development goals then? Sustainable development requires targeted and systematic approach to attain the objective. Therefore, often it is advocated that sustainable development should be guided by certain goals, which we call sustainable development goals. But how these goals were developed? Let us consider the historical development behind the sustainable development goals. The concept sustainability has its root in the post-World War II era. During this period, rapid industrialization and urbanization escalated industrial pollution and loss of biodiversity and raised serious concern of activists from European countries. In 1970s, basically, environmental movements gained more momentum. First, Earth Day was observed in 1970, which was a significant event in this connection. In 1972, the Club of Rome's report, The Limits to Growth, expressed serious concern about increasing population, depletion of limited natural resources, and loss of habitat for flora and fauna around the world, and raised alarm about economic development at the cost of society and environment. In 1980, the report of International Union for Conservation of Nature, the title was World Conservation Strategy. The report first coined the concept of sustainable development. The report put stress on the need for conservation of natural resources and their sustainable management to ensure a better future. In 1987, the term sustainable development got more recognition when it was given a formal definition by Gro Harlem Brundtland in his report submitted on behalf of the World Commission on Environment and Development in 1987. Then in June 1992, at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the UN member states adopted Agenda 21 to build a global collaboration to ensure improved human life and limit environmental harm. All this was towards the development of SDGs finally. In September 2000, the member states adopted Millennium Declaration. They set 8 Millennium Development Goals, which are known as MDGs, with the objective to bring down extreme poverty by 2015. These MDGs were actually converted into SDGs later on. In 2002, the UN members further adopted Johannesburg Declaration on Sustainable Development in this direction. In June 2012, at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, the UN decided to initiate a process of developing a set of sustainable development goals based on the Millennium Development Goals. Accordingly, in 2013, a 30-member working group was set up for this purpose. This group put their effort relentlessly, and finally, in September 2015, at UN Sustainable Development Summit, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development was adopted with 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So, in this way, the Sustainable Development Goals came into existence. This slide provides a iconic view of the Sustainable Development Goals, and you can see from 1 to 17, there are altogether 17 sustainable goals addressing different areas of environmental sustainability, social and economic sustainability. The goals are further described as follows. Goal 1, the theme is no poverty, is described as a process to end poverty in all its forms everywhere. The second goal, zero hunger, talks about ending hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. The third goal, good health and well-being, talks about ensuring healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. The fourth one, quality education, talks about ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Fifth goal, gender equality, is about achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. The sixth goal, clean water and sanitation, is talking about ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Again, the seventh goal, affordable and clean energy, talks about ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Similarly, decent work and economic growth is the eighth goal, which wants to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. The ninth goal, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, talks about building resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. The 10th goal, reduced inequalities, wants to reduce inequality within and among countries. Then there is goal 11, sustainable cities and communities, which talks about making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. We have the 12th goal, responsible production and consumption, which talks about ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. The 13th goal is climate action, which talks about taking urgent action to combat climate change and its likely impact. Then the 14th goal is life below water, which talks about conserving and sustainably using the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Life on land is the 15th goal, which talks about protecting, restoring, and promoting sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Goal 16 talks is peace, justice, and strong institution, which talks about promoting peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. And finally, 17th goal is the partnership for the goals, which talks about strengthening the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. So in this way, the 70 sustainable goals have been described in detail. Now, these 70 sustainable goals can be identified with the three broader dimensions that already we have mentioned previously. In Niti Aayog's document, we find that the 17 sustainable goals have been identified in three broader dimensions, and they have added a fourth one also. While goal 1 to 6 comes under the social sustainability, economic sustainability covers goal 7 up to 11. Goal 12 up to 15 are covered in environmental sustainability dimension, and the 16th and 17th goal have been placed under the category fostering peace and partnership, because they are directly not related to any of these three dimensions, but they are actually integrating all the three dimensions and advocating for ensuring a global participation for implementation of the sustainable development goals effectively. Now, sustainable development goals only fixing the goal will not do. There should be some systematic approach towards this attainment of the goal. Hence, under each and every sustainable development goals, certain targets have been fixed. Multiple targets have been fixed for each development goals, and also to assess the attainment of those targets, certain indicators have been pointed out. For each individual SDG, there are multiple targets, and to assess the attainment of this target, there are multiple indicators. Altogether, there are 169 targets for 17 SDGs. Not every SDG contains the similar number of targets, the number varies. Similarly, there are 234 unique indicators. However, some indicators have been used for multiple SDGs. Accordingly, this slide provides a detailed view of the total number of targets and number of indicators goal-wise. And you can see that not every goal is having the similar number of targets, and the number of indicators altogether are 246. This is because though the unique number of indicators were 234, some indicators have been used for multiple goals, and accordingly, when we get the total goal-wise, it is more than 234, actually 246 indicators. Now, this slide provides some example of targets and indicators of two important SDGs, Goal 1 and 13. Goal 1, no poverty, is having multiple targets, of which two important targets are target 1.1 and 1.3, described as follows. Target 1.1 is about eradicating extreme poverty for all people everywhere by 2030. That is actually the target. And the indicator to assess attainment of this target is proportion of population below the international poverty line. Target 1.3 talks about implementing nationally appropriate social protection schemes, and the indicator to assess the same is coverage of social protection schemes. Goal 13, climate action, also has multiple goals. Target 13.2 is integrate climate change measures into national policies. And to measure the attainment of the target, the indicator which is used is the number of countries with climate adoption strategies. Similarly, under Goal 13, the second one target is improve education and awareness on climate change. And the indicator for this purpose used is number of countries including climate change in their education curriculum. In this way, for each and every goal, multiple targets are fixed, and to assess the attainment of the target, the indicators are fixed also. Evaluating the indicator every year or periodical basis can provide us insightful information regarding whether these targets are attained and whether the goals are fulfilled effectively. Now let us come to the main core area of our presentation, that is role of business in attaining the sustainable development goals. Now, businesses play a crucial and irreplaceable role in pursuit of sustainable development goals. While governments and civil society set the agenda and drive policies, it is businesses that possess the innovation capacity, financial resources, operational skill, and workforce, most importantly, needed to translate these goals into practical action. In other words, The primary role of government is not to fully implement or fully attain the sustainability goal on its own, because the resources may be limited, because the effort may be limited, and also the civil society also has a role to play in this context. But again, their limitations are well acknowledged. Therefore, it is the business whose help must be um, obtained in this context to attain the sustainable development goals, because they have the innovation capacity, they have the financial resources, they have the operational skill, and most obviously, they have the workforce needed to translate these goals into practical action. In many cases, the process is a mutual beneficial for both the economy, society, environment, and the business. While business gets benefited from this economic resources, environmental resources, and so civil society, business activities also in turn help these economic, environment, and society at large. Therefore, the benefits are often mutual, and the role of business should be recognized in this context. But why this business involvement matters much? The previous slide provides us a brief indication, and now we are going to detail that particular points. There are 5 reasons which can be cited in this context. The first one is scale and influence of the private sector. Businesses account for a significant share of global GDP and employment. Their activities affect communities, economies, and environment both directly and also through their supply chains, that is, their vendors, their customers, their logistic partners. Multinational corporations operate across borders, giving them the reach and influence to implement sustainability practices worldwide. The second most important reason in this context is innovation and technology drivers. Businesses are technology drivers. They are engines of innovation. They develop clean technologies, sustainable products, and efficient processes. Again, solutions to complex global challenges such as climate change, water scarcity, waste management, and access to education often require technical expertise and scalable innovation, which only private sector can provide. The third important reason is financial resources and investment capacity. Private capital far exceeds the public development funding. Government provides funding for sustainable development, but their funding are always limited. Private capital is not so. Directing even a small percentage of global investment towards the sustainable projects can unlock transformative changes. Then, impact investing, green bonds, ESG framework, and public-private partnerships are growing avenues where the businesses can lead. Risk management and long-term resilience is another important reason for business involvement in attaining SDGs. Environmental degradation, social unrest, and poor governance pose direct risk and threat to business operations, such as disrupted supply chains, reputational damage, and regulatory penalties. Integrating SDGs into the core strategy therefore enables businesses to anticipate and mitigate future risks while contributing meaningfully towards the societies and ecosystem they rely on. And the most important reason is the stakeholder expectation. Today's consumers, customers, especially the young generations, they expect brands to stand for more than profit. Ethical sourcing, fair labor practices, and environmental stewardship are now competitive differentiators. They are recognized widely by the consumers while choosing their appropriate brands. Investors are also increasingly demanding ESG disclosures and sustainability commitments as part of long-term risk mitigation. They are interested in investing only in those companies who are ESG compliant, and in that way, they are they want to do their bit towards sustainability. So they prefer companies which are ESG compliant. Similarly, employees today prefer working for organizations with a strong sense of purpose, especially in sectors with high competition for talent. For all these reasons, today's business must play an active role in attaining sustainable development goals. It is an imperative, not a choice now for the business. But how can businesses contribute towards achieving this sustainable development goals? Now, business activities automatically should be designed in a way that they create some positive impact towards the business, towards the environment, society, and economy. And in that way, business can do its best in achieving sustainable development goals. The first goal was no poverty. In this context, what businesses can do are to create decent jobs and income opportunities. They may support local entrepreneurs and small suppliers. Businesses can conduct vendor development programs and support them. Businesses may invest in communities through corporate social responsibility. In order to achieve the second goal, zero hunger, businesses may promote sustainable agriculture through agri-business support, and in that way they can protect or help protecting environment. They may try to reduce food waste across the supply chain. They may partner with farmers and food producers to ensure food security. To achieve the third goal, that is good health and well-being, the business may ensure workplace health and safety, provide health insurance and wellness program, and innovate in healthcare practices. The pharmaceutical companies, they may spend huge amount on researchers and develop innovative drugs. Accordingly, the healthcare service providers may also join hands to provide good health and well-being. The fourth goal is quality education, and in this context, businesses can offer employee training and upskilling, support educational programs and scholarships to CSR, and collaborate with governments and NGOs to improve education access. Apart from same, as a direct contributor, they may establish or they may directly participate in the education industry. Gender equality is the fifth goal, and in this context, businesses can function to ensure equal pay and opportunities to reduce gender gap, pay disparity, promote women in leadership roles in the position in the top organization, support women-owned businesses in supply chain. For example, they may source their material from self-help groups. Clean water and sanitation is the sixth goal, where the businesses may use water efficiently and treat wastewater. They may invest in clean water access for communities. They may reduce water pollution through sustainable processes. Seventh goal was affordable and clean energy. And in this direction, businesses should invest in renewable energy sources rather than using the conventional or traditional energy sources, which are much more reliant on using the non-renewable resources. And in that way, businesses can help preserving the non-renewable resources or to a great extent. Increase energy efficiency in operation. They may use modern machines so that there is enough amount of energy savings, and reduction in the energy usage from non-renewable resources. In that way, will benefit the environment. Support off-grid energy access in rural areas to ensure affordable energy to all. Then there is a eighth goal, decent work and economic growth. And in this direction, businesses may provide fair wages, safe working conditions, and employment, encourage innovation and entrepreneurship, and they may also promote inclusive supply chains. That is, they can ensure an equity in selecting their supply chain partners. Then, industry innovation and infrastructure is the ninth goal, where businesses can do a lot in attaining the sustainable development goals and targets. They may invest in resilient infrastructure. They may foster innovation through research and development activities. And also they may promote digital transformation and inclusive tech access. And we know nowadays digital transformation is a big thing, and organizations are really rapidly transforming themselves in this digital era. Reduce inequality is the 10th goal, and businesses can do some meaningful activity in this context also. They can ensure inclusive hiring practices. Their hiring practices should not be biased, should not favor a particular community or a particular section of the society. In that way, an inclusive hiring practices they can follow, they can promote diversity, inclusivity, and equity in their hiring practices. They may also provide opportunities for underrepresented groups. They may also offer affordable products or services for low-income consumers. And in that way, they can reduce the inequality in various forms. Sustainable cities and communities is the 11th sustainable development goal. And in this direction, businesses can build green buildings and smart infrastructure. They may develop affordable housing in partnership with the government to provide housing to those who cannot go for paying more for such housing projects. They may also businesses may also reduce urban environmental impact by creating various environmental friendly outlets in such sustainable cities and smart cities. Now, responsible consumption and production was the 12th goal, where the businesses may use sustainable raw materials and packaging. They may apply circular economy principle. By circular economy, we means a more focus on recycling. The output, the waste product of one particular industry may be used as the input in producing some other product. And in that way, the wastes are circulated. Wastes are actually recycled. The appropriate term should have been. Businesses should also disclose environmental and social impacts in their reporting through sustainability reporting, through BRSR, that is business responsibility and sustainability reporting in India. Businesses can provide meaningful information to the users, and therefore they may act responsibly. They may guide the consumers and the investors appropriately. The 13th goal was climate action, where the business may set and follow science-based emission reduction targets. They may invest in carbon neutral technologies, and also they can conduct climate risk assessment and disclosures in their reports, BRSR or sustainability report. Then life below water was the 14th goal, where the business may try to eliminate plastic waste and marine pollution. They may source seafood sustainably, and also they may support ocean conservation initiatives. 15th goal was life on land, and there the businesses may avoid deforestation in supply chains. They may try to restore degraded ecosystem, and also they can invest in biodiversity conservation. 16th goal was peace, justice, and strong institution, and in this direction also even businesses have definite role to play. They may uphold human rights and anti-corruption policies within the organization. They may promote ethical practices in global operations, and also they may support access to justice through community outreach. Finally, the 17th goal, which talks about partnership for the goals, the businesses may partner with government, NGOs, and academia. They may share their data, knowledge, and technology with them, and also help mobilize funds for sustainable development projects. So in this way, specific areas business sustainable development goals attainment. Now, from 2018 to 2023-24, India has shown remarkable progress in this direction. As evident from the index, this SDG Index 23-24, the report published by NITI Aayog. The SDG score from 57 in 2018 has reached to 71 in 2023-24. The statewide score ranges between 57 to 79, and Union Territory score ranges from 65 to 77. Top states are Uttarakhand and Kerala, while top United Territories Chandigarh. There are 32 states and Union Territories which have front runner category scores, that is 65 up to 99. And the highest increase in score was observed in two goals, Goal 1, no poverty, and Goal 13, climate action. This is actually the infographic showing the goal-wise performance of India in attaining the SDG in terms of the SDG scores. And we can find there is remarkable progress from 2018 to 2023-24, almost in all the different goals, including 1 up to 16. However, there is still a lot to do with respect to at least SDG 5, that is gender equality, where the score is the minimum, that is 49, marked in red. And the remarkable progress is observed in two definite goals, goal number 6 and 7, with SDG score of 89 and 96 in 2023-24. In all other areas also, the progress is quite satisfactory, marked in yellow, followed by the green bars. Some of the initiatives taken by GOI in attaining these goals are what mentioning here. In order to achieve goal 1, the no poverty, the schemes that government of India has taken were Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission, National Urban Livelihood Mission, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, and others. Similarly, under Goal 2, Zero Hunger, some of the schemes include Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana or National Food Security Act 2013, Pradhan Mantri Kishan Samman Nidhi, PM Kishan, PM Poshan Abhiyan, National Food Security Mission, Kishan Credit Card, PM Fasal Bima Yojana, PM Kishan Sampada Yojana, and there are others schemes available also. With respect to Goal 17, the affordable and clean energy, some of the schemes are Saubhagya Scheme, Ujala Scheme, PM Kusum Scheme, Green Energy Corridors, Bioenergy Programs, National Green Hydrogen Mission, and others. Similarly, under Goal 8, we find that is recent work and economic growth. We find a number of important schemes, including Production Linked Incentive Scheme, PM Employment Generation Scheme, Skill India, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, National Skill Development Mission, and all. However, government initiatives are never considered to be enough to attain the benefits of sustainable development goals fully. As we have already discussed, there must be definite participation on the part of the private sector or business at large in order to attain the sustainable development goals. Are Indian corporations and Indian companies, Indian big shots contributing towards this direction? Let us have a look. We have identified 4 important business organizations who are contributing positively towards attainment of the sustainable development goals. First is Tata Steel, which is a part of Tata Group. Through their activities, they are impacting SDGs, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 17. And some of the specific achievements include water positive operation. Tata Steel has already implemented extensive water conservation and management practices. They have achieved zero effluent discharge at many of their facilities, and their community water conservation efforts include building over 478 water harvesting structures, reaching 14,797 lives through these activities. Circular economy and waste utilization is the next way they contributed. They have increased the utilization of waste plastic in steel making to reduce coal dependency. Then, towards climate action, they actively employ waste heat recovery systems to generate electricity from waste heat. Towards community development and livelihood, in agriculture and allied activities, they have covered households to improve agricultural practices, leading to an increase in average household income for farmers. Skill development. Over 72 youth skilled and supported for self-employment, enhancing employability in a given district of Jharkhand. Health programs like Mansi, maternal and newborn survival initiative have led to 58% of identified severely acute malnourished children being brought out of malnutrition in specific regions of Jharkhand. And with respect to education, over 140 panchayats in Jharkhand and Odisha have been declared child labor free zones. They have constructed 30 model schools in Odisha and reached 526 schools through various educational projects. Similar efforts were also taken in other parts of India by Tata Steel. Coming to the next important organization, Reliance Industries. The activities have impacted SDGs including 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 13, and 17. Specific achievements in this context were massive green energy investment. RIL is making unprecedented investment in new energy ecosystem. Their target of net zero emission by 2035. They are building 55 integrated compressed biogas plants by 25. Then livelihood enhancement in financial year 23-24, over 14,000 youths were trained with at least 90 linked to jobs in their retail sector. They partnered with NSDC to create future-ready skilled forces for 5 lakh Indian youths. Healthcare access. Reliance Foundation's healthcare initiatives impacted over 2 lakh individuals in financial year 23-24. With respect to education and technology access, initiatives like Mission Navodaya support underprivileged students in securing admission to prestigious schools, and they also support smallholder farmers in accessing and using agri-tech like drones and AI-based grain grading, contributing to modernizing agriculture. Coming to the third organization, ITC, the SDGs they have impacted are 2, 6, 8, 12, 13, and 15. And they are considered to be the triple bottom line leader in the world. ITC is globally recognized for synergizing economic wealth creation with ecological and social capital. They are positive, water positive for 20 years. They are carbon positive for 19 years. Solid waste recycling, their wealth out of waste program is a flagship initiative for municipal solid waste management. And with respect to sustainable livelihood, their e-chopper network has transformed rural lives by providing farmers with real-time market information, weather forecasts, and access to sustainable agricultural practices. Coming to the fourth and last organization for this study, Infosys. SDGs they have impacted are 7, 13, 4, and 8. Through Infosys Foundation, they are doing beneficial activities for the society, economy, and industry. Specific achievements include carbon neutrality. Infosys achieved carbon neutrality by 2020, 30 years ahead of Paris Agreement target. Digital skilling. Infosys aims to extend digital skills to empower at least 18 million people and enable employment opportunities for at least 5 lakh people by 2030, leveraging its core IT expertise. With water and waste management, they have strong targets for zero waste to landfill and comprehensive water management programs, including water recycling and rainwater harvesting at their facilities. But not always the picture is so glorious. There is dark side of the story also. Large companies are mainly showing their commitment, not the middle or the micro sector doing their bit, obviously. Initiatives towards social and environmental goals are limited and are being attained under the mandatory CSR programs only. voluntary participation are still limited. Still, if the organizations are preferring short-term profitability over long-term sustainability. And sometimes they are following greenwashing practices rather than real improvements. Hence, India still has a long way to go to achieve success in attaining SDGs, and businesses need to do a lot in this context. Cameron Sinclair once said regarding the role of business in attaining sustainability and SDGs, that when sustainability is viewed as being a matter of survival for your business, I believe you can create massive change. Businesses should consider sustainability to be an imperative rather than a choice. It is not a voluntary practice that is required from them. It is their duty to work towards sustainability, to achieve sustainable development goals, to ensure their survival, because there is no business on a dead planet. With this, I have come to the end of this presentation. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much for your such an illustrative, detailed concept of sustainable development goals and the role of business towards societies, that also enriched us to understand the idea behind corporate social responsibility also. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite our convener of this seminar, Dr. Prosenjit Das, to introduce our second research person, Ms. Shashwati Chakraborty. Over to you, Prosenjit.
Thank you, Dr. Boshak and Dr. Sarkar, for this wonderful session. Now, I would like to introduce our another esteemed resource person, Ms. Shashwati Chakraborty. She is an assistant professor in economics, commerce morning section, St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. She is also pursuing her PhD in economics from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, Kolkata. Her PhD topic is cost structure, competition and financial constraint, an analytical study on technology transfer. She has published so many articles in various reputed journals such as Journal of Quantitative Economics, Indian Economic Review, Springer, Agricultural Situation in India, and many more. Now, I may request Ms. Chakraborty to start her lecture on technology licensing. Ms. Chakraborty, please.
Prosenjit, am I audible to you?
Yes, very much audible.
Okay. There's a lot of echo. I do not know where it's coming from.
No, you are audible, clearly audible. Please
no,
start.
I'm audible, but there's a lot of echo.
Okay.
I don't know. How can I
But
manage?
you are audible, clearly audible.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I do not know for how many of you this topic, it's continuously echoing. So, is there a way to just control that? Because otherwise it is difficult to deliver.
No, ma'am. It's okay right now. It's clearly no.
Yes, if you all can just mute. Yeah, I think that would be better. Yeah. Sure. Thank you. So I think this topic is very new to all the audience. I do not know whether there is anyone in the audience who are doing any research work in this field, that is technology licensing. So what exactly is technology license? Before I enter into the topic, I would like to inform you all that there are 3 areas that I will try to touch upon given the constraint of time. And these 3 areas are basically based on my research work only. Right now I'm doing PhD in technology licensing. So I'll just try to talk about those issues. So anyone may feel free to ask me any questions related to that. But it would be good if I could finish my lecture, then if you raise your questions. So what basically is technology licensing? So it's a dissemination of knowledge related to techniques of production in manufacturing. And the very standard way of doing that is patent licensing. So basically, there's a firm which I call as the cost efficient firm. through innovation, through any means, it has brought down its cost, and it now wants to sell this to another firm to capture the market. So why is this issue very important in today's date? You all know that, you all have heard about it, that Donald Trump is imposing huge tariff barriers on the entry of foreign products. So at this point of time, what is the best route for any firm to enter into US? Particularly for India, how India is going to absorb that shock? Is there an alternative? So a lot of work has been done in this area. People have tried to show that once tariff is being imposed on the entry of the foreign firms, there are different alternative routes. Like, for instance, you can enter into the nation through licensing. You can, if of course, the tariff shock that you have to bear is the licensing is able to overcome that, or you can, to escape the tariff, you can jump the tariff by going through FDI. You can merge with a firm, and then you can outsource. In fact, there's a lot of papers that have tried to highlight this, that once the foreign firms are finding it difficult to enter into the domain of the national borders, then what they try to do is to outsource the stages of production to mostly the unorganized sector, informal sectors in India. You know that once the foreign firms enter into a nation and they want to leave the nation, it is very difficult for them because there are a lot of labor laws that are more stringent in India compared to any other nation. So in that sense, if you can directly outsource your particular stage of production to the informal sector, then you can escape all these difficulties, these disputes that you have to face. So in this connection, I would be talking not, of course, about the optimal route that a firm would take to enter into the into any economy, but other issues which have not yet been covered in the area of technology licensing. So technology licensing is basically a very what you can say, it's a very popular theme in the literature of industrial organization. Particularly, its relevance is can be seen when we look into the strategic interactions between the firms in deciding the licensing options or the strategic trade policy. Why strategic interactions? Because, you know, those who are from economics will know that oligopolistic competition is all about strategic interdependence, strategic interactions between the firms. So whenever I choose something for myself, I have to know what is best for you. Similarly, when you decide your best, you have to know what is the best of your opponent. So given your best, I will decide my best. Given my best, you will decide your best. So there are many papers, there are some seminal contributions in this field of technology licensing, particularly by Arrow 1962, Kamian and Toman, Marjit 1990, and of course, Muto 1993. Now, what is technology licensing? As I mentioned in the very beginning, that you have innovated a technology that has reduced your cost. Now you want to make some money out of it. You want to expand your market. You want to reach out nationally, internationally. Then you have to license your patent. So patent gives you an opportunity to expand your market. Now, through that patent licensing, we see that there are many firms whose revenue has grown over the years. So as per the global licensing study, the revenue from licensed merchandise and services have increased to 315.5 billion in 2021 as compared to 292.8 billion in 2019. Now coming to the firms like Microsoft and Ericsson, they have generated $2 billion every year, and Qualcomm, they have generated through patent licensing more than $6.6 billion every year. Now, most of the time when I talk about licensing, you will find that the market is not really homogeneous, because when you go to buy a product, then two factors decide your choice. One is called the horizontal differentiation and the other one is called the vertical differentiation. So what is the difference between the two? So for those who are not from the field of economics, for them, I would just like to say that horizontal differentiation, when you're differentiating the product, not on the ground of some scientific judgment, but when you're judging a product in terms of its quality, then it's called vertical differentiation. So my highlight for today would be that once there is a foreign firm which is trying to sell its technology to a domestic firm, and both of them are trying to sell a homogeneous good, that is, consumers do not differentiate between the good that is produced by this domestic firm and the foreign firm, I will call it, or rather the literature calls it, intra-brand goods. And now there is a competitor, there is an opponent whose product consumers are differentiating on the ground of horizontal and vertical differentiation. So in the presence of the other opponent in the market, what will be the best license contract that I can offer? I means the foreign firm can offer to the domestic firm. So previously the literature only considered the licensing contracts between the firms either in case of homogeneous goods, that is, they're completely similar, or in case of completely dissimilar goods. What if there is existence of a firm, a foreign firm, whose product is being differentiated, and then another foreign firm comes to patent its technology to the domestic firm? So does its presence will affect the licensing contract? So what we have shown is it does. What it does, if time permits, I'll just try to explain that. I do not know how much time will permit me. The next thing that I would like to talk about is what are the possible routes for entry of any foreign firm into a domestic country, particularly with respect to licensing. So there are basically two routes that the literature talks about. One is you can be an outside innovator, or you can be an insider. What is the difference? So basically, when I'm talking about an insider innovator, he not only innovates the technology, but also takes part in competition with the firm to whom it has transferred the technology. Now coming to the other aspect, that is the role of outside innovator. So the outside innovator's job is just to innovate the technology, give the technology, of course, to the potential licensee. By the way, once I'm saying the licensor is the seller of the technology or the owner of the patent, sometimes in the literature called the patentee, and the buyer of the technology is called the licensee, technically to be correct, or rather the grantee in case of the license contract. So the outside a lot of work has been done on the optimal license contract of the outside innovator, how he decides, how the insider innovator decides. And again, people have tried to look into the role of both outside and inside innovators together in different contexts. Another important thing in the licensing literature is about cross-patent licensing agreement. What is that? So whenever we find that there is a transfer of technology, I'll call it one-way transfer of technology. Suppose there are two firms, firm 1 and firm 2. So firm 1 has done some innovation through some research lab, has reduced its cost of production. Now it is trying to offer its technology to firm 2, who is cost inefficient. Now, in this regard, this particular firm 1, when it is transferring the technology, it can charge a license fee, it can charge a royalty, or it can charge a combination of the two. What are the differences? So license fee is something which is not related to your output. Royalty is, of course, related to your output. The royalty rate is decided on your output. And a two-pack tariff is a combination of the two. That is a royalty and a license fee. Now, again, there's a whole lot of debate in the literature as to the optimal rate that the optimal license contract that any licensor would charge, whether it would be a license fee, whether it would be a royalty, or whether it would be a two-part tariff. Of course, you can understand that once it is a license fee, then the licensor and the licensee come to the same level. Their cost efficiencies are same. But when it comes to royalty, the licensor is better off in terms of efficiency. And when it is a two-part tariff, it is relatively better than royalty, but not as good as the license fee. So whenever the licensor licenses his technology, the cost efficiency of the firm which is weaker will be enhanced, of course, if the licensor charges a license fee from it and not a royalty or a two-part tariff. Now, in this regard, there's a depending on the different context, people have argued, rather debated which type of contract would be better in which situation. I'm not going into the details of that. But anyway, so these are the ways, these are the schemes through which the licensor tries to sell his technology, reach, expand its reach into the national borders, international borders, and this is what they do. Now, in this connection, as I was mentioning, that whatever is the license scheme that is chosen by the licensor, if it is a one-way transfer of technology, that is, firm 1 is good in something, and that is why it is offering a technology to firm 2. But what if firm 2 also has something to offer to firm 1? Then a type of agreement that appears between the two firms, that's called the cross-patent license agreement. Why a cross-patent license agreement is very popular in today's date? Because if you look into the news articles, you will find that firms often have a lot of disputes on these royalty issues, license fees, or two-part tariff. So this premium and international brand called Daimler, it was fighting with Nokia OIZ over some royalty issues. Again, a patent dispute ran for several years between two leading brands, Sharp and Oppo. In order to overcome these disputes, the researcher took it as a motivation whether cross-patent licensing can be a way out to overcome these disputes related to financial matters after licensing. The next thing that I want to talk about related to licensing is why do licensor want to license his technology? So you can refer to a paper by Marjit 1990. It shows that once the licensor licenses his technology, the licensor loses a considerable share of the market, so his profit falls. The one who gets the license, that is the licensee, his share will rise. Now, if industry profit after licensing is higher than the industry profit before licensing, then it is always possible for the licensee to compensate the licensor. which means suppose I was earning 100, you are earning 50. After technology transfer, I get 50, you get 100, 1. Then that 1 rupee, I will take it away from you through this various schemes of contracts, whether it's a fixed fee, it's a royalty, or a two-part tariff. So somehow industry profit, if it rises, there is always a scope for licensing. Now, this has already been established in the literature. There are a lot of papers that have worked on it. But the question is, for this industry profit to rise, how close should be the firms? So in this regard, I would like to mention that there is something called an initial technology of the firm. So initial technology, say for instance, you are measuring the technology on a continuous interval, then in that case, the initial technology is, you can consider it as a continuous variable. So your initial technology, maybe I am operating with 0.1, you are operating with 0.3. So technically, it seems that they are very close, but you know that they, it's a real number line that we are lying, and there are a whole infinite number of numbers that are lying between them. But then non-technically, if I say that if these are the numbers that I'm considering, then if they are close to me, that is, the licensee will be able to compensate the licensor. So how close is the initial technology of the firms? That is very much deciding whether I will charge a royalty, I'll charge a fixed fee, or I'll charge a two-part tariff. In majority of the cases in the literature, it has been shown that once the initial technology of the firms are very close to one another, it is always possible for the licensee to compensate the licensor. However, if they are far apart, naturally, the licensee is not able to compensate the licensor. Now, majority of the papers that you see in the licensing literature, they assume that the licensee is in a sound financial health. That is, the licensee is always able to compensate me for the loss that I suffer after technology licensing. What we found is, I'll just try to show some data on the basis of which we did a particular research. Just let me know whether my screen is visible, one of you, please. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, absolutely clear.
Okay, so this is the data that we collected from World Enterprise Survey. So what they did is they surveyed a good number of firms in different countries across the various sectors. This is the data that I'm showing you here is of India. So these two questions that they asked in the survey are very pertinent to our research. The first thing is, they asked the firms that whether they were facing any financial constraint. That is, were they facing any problem related to expansion of their units, or whether they were facing any problem related to buying of technology, any such things. So many such things out of, so one of these questions was, were they facing any credit constraint? Another question, which is again pertinent to our research, is whether these firms who are facing credit constraint, were they licensing any foreign technology? So what we find from here is that these units, like auto and auto components, chemical industry, chemical and pharmaceuticals, electronics, these are the industries which not only faced financial constraint, but also they were found to license, that is, buy a foreign technology. So the question is, if the licensor is trying to license his technology to a credit constraint firm, then how is it possible for the credit constraint firm to pay back to the licensor? Are these issues being really considered while you are advocating the problems of licensing in the literature? So this was the motivation for doing our research. So what we did is we tried to. Conventional wisdom would say that a financially constrained firm would never be able to pay back to the licensor. Contrary to that, what we find is the licensee is able to pay back to the licensor depending on the situation. What situation? To understand that, two things I would like to mention. One is, what is the meaning of credit constraint? The second thing is, what is the meaning of credit cap? So what is a credit constraint? So you have some finance. See, I'm not getting into, again, the intricacies of the optimal capital structure, because you know that those who are from commerce will know that there are different ways through which a firm can raise its finance. So it can issue new new shares to raise the finance. It can borrow from a bank. It can borrow from the financial market. All those intricacies are there. A good paper in this regard, about which I would like to mention, is by Brander and Lewis, and there are quite a good number of extensions in this regard. That is, what should be the optimal capital structure when firms are competing in the product market. People have tried to relate finance to product market competition. There are a good number of papers in this regard. So what basically I want to talk about in this lecture is what we did, that is how we define a credit constraint. So basically a firm requires finance to naturally produce its output, so that finance I'm calling as the initial capital. So I have some initial capital at home, initial wealth at home, through which I can finance my cost of production. But what if I am being asked to produce an output that costs me so much that that my initial wealth is not just sufficient for it? In that case, the alternative is I have to borrow from the market. Now, when I borrow from the market, my borrowing will depend on three things. My initial wealth, naturally. Second is the kind of technology which is being offered to me by the licensor. And the third thing is my own technology, that is how far or how close I am to the licensor. Now, when I'm talking about this licensing issues, then I would like to mention one more thing that I just forgot to mention about. That is, we try to solve the licensing game through something called a backward induction. I do not know how many of you this is known. So basically, the licensor in the beginning offers a take it or a leave it type of a license contract to the licensee. Of course, the licensee will accept the license if his reservation profit, that is in the beginning what I'm earning from the market, that's my reservation profit. If I after acquiring that license, if the licensee gets higher than his reservation profit, then of course he's going to accept the license. Once he accepts the license, the next stage is they compete in the market. Irrespective of what is happening in the licensing situation, firms are competing in the market. So that's a whole game about. Now, when you're trying to do a backward induction, so you know that if the licensor charges of a fixed fee or a royalty or whatever be the mode of contract, then in that case, what is my optimal output? So for any level of fixed fee or royalty or a two-part tariff, I know what is my optimal output. Now, once the licensor is trying to license this technology, this information is known. So whatever we are doing here is based on complete information. The licensor has complete information about the licensee. In our case also, the particular topic that we have tried to address, the licensor has complete information about the licensee related to his financial health, which means that suppose the licensee in the beginning, why is borrowing? So he's borrowing because he definitely has calculated that his profit from borrowing is greater than his profit without borrowing. Again, why is he licensing? So when he's calculating that his profit after borrowing is greater than the profit before, that is before licensing, that gives you an upper limit on the rate of interest. Rate of interest here is the interest at which I'm taking a loan from the bank. Again, when I'm borrowing and not licensing, so I have a calculation of profit. When I am borrowing and licensing, again, I have a calculation of profit. If that profit after licensing through borrowing is greater than the profit that I earn without licensing but borrowing, will give me an upper limit on the value of the rate of interest. Of course, I will try to take the minimum of the rate of interest in deciding my fate of whether to go for the licensing deal or not. So here what we try to show in our paper, that is this. The first thing is, suppose this information that the licensee's credit constraint is known to the licensor. So my credit constraint is a situation when my licensee, in order to finance his cost of production, has to borrow from the market. So the credit constraint is always binding. Whenever I say the credit constraint is binding on the firm, it means the firm is the weaker firm, which is buying the technology, is always borrowing from the market. And there are different sources of borrowing. I'm not going into the intricacy of it. Suppose there is a bank from which it can take the money, and it is offering the loan at a rate of interest. I call it capital R. And if suppose I did not borrow and I had kept my money in the bank, so my other alternative is to earn some interest out of it. So the net profit we defined as the profit through this production minus the profit that I could have earned had I kept the money in the bank. That's the net profit function for us. Now here, when the licensee is credit constraint, but he is not credit cap. What is a credit cap situation? In this regard, I would like to mention you all that you can refer to a paper by Marjit and Malik written in EPW, probably in the year 2002 or 2003. So there they mention about the need for monitoring a bank by the regulator. That is, once the banks lends money, there is hardly verification of the value of the collateral. So in that case, once the the commercial banks know that they are going to be bailed out by the regulator, they do not take much initiative to be little careful in lending their money to the various firms, to the various borrowers. Now here, there is a concept of the firms being credit capped or credit ration. What exactly does it mean? So a credit ration or a credit capped situation is one when the bank, after this investigation of your probability of default or not default, all this calculation they have done, they know that you will not be able to pay back. So there is a limit, a restriction which is imposed on you. So there is a maximum borrowing limit that is being imposed on the firms. And once the licensor is licensing his technology to you, and you are being asked to produce an output for which you require a finance that is crossing your maximum borrowing limit, then you cannot, of course, produce that optimal output. So in that case, the licensor has to make up for that loss which you cannot manage. And the question is the licensor still selling the technology if it knows that the licensee is being credit capped? So in this particular slide, as you can see, this ABCD curve, it's the industry profit function prior to licensing. So I was just mentioning in the beginning about this initial technology called C1 bar. Now this C2, one more thing, the literature has captured this heterogeneity between the firms in terms of the differences in the marginal cost of production. That is, if I am having a marginal cost that I have reduced by innovations or some other means, then I have a better technology. So firm 2, who is my weaker firm, I'm denoting C2. 2 refers to the second firm, 1 refers to the first firm. So as you can see, this ABCD is my industry profit function. C1 bar is the initial technology of firm 1. Now, when you offer this initial technology, you can find a region C1 bar to C2 cap, rather C2 cap to C1 bar. This is the region for industry, for licensing to be profitable. Why? Because if you can see the height from here, this is greater than the industry profit function height prior to licensing. So this is the exact region where the licensing is profitable. We try to show here that if the firm is not in a good financial health, which means it has to borrow from the market, pay back its interest, therefore its effective cost, marginal cost of production is increasing, then licensing will be possible, but the region where the licensing is profitable, in the case where the firms usually do not face financial health, this region is going to shrink, which means a licensor will be more careful in granting his license to the licensee if he finds that the licensee is not having a technology which is very good. That means if both of them are very close compared to the situation when they did not have this financial health issues, then only the licensor would agree to offer the license to him. Another situation that we show here is, what if the licensee, the weaker firm rather, not the licensee, the weaker firm is being credit capped both before and after licensing. So what we show here is that, if you can see the graph, so the initial technology is C1 bar. So this is not a gold curve that we have drawn, because the market do not exist to the left of it. The market exists from C1 bar. So this is the profit function, or rather the net increase in the profit of the licensee. You find that there is a region that has been darkened, that is the red region, and this is another region which has not been darkened, but these are the two regions where the license is comfortable in paying back to the licensor. But this region below C1 bar do not exist. Rather, the licensor is not able to offer his license because his profit will increase only in this situation when he finds that the licensee is being credit capped before and after licensing, when he has to offer something below C1 bar which he doesn't have. That means in situations where you find that a weaker firm is trying to borrow from the market more than what the regulator or the banks have decided for it, in that case, the licensor do not offer its license to the licensee. Again, this is a situation where you find that there is a common region. If you can see, this dotted line, if you see, is the region where the profit of the licensee is going up. This is the region where the profit of the licensor is going up. So there is a common region, if you see, where both of them can agree for the deal. Now, this is the region, if you look into, is the region where the licensor is not offering his best technology to the licensee. He is offering an inferior technology, which means we see all those licensing deals happening between the firms. The firms are paying back to the licensee. Then question is, are the licensors offering the best of their technology? So what we find here is that the licensor is offering not the best technology and inferior technology. Why? Because as soon as the licensor offers his technology, there is a loss in its share. This is called in the language of the literature, this is called the rent dissipation effect or the competition effect. You are taking away a part of my consumers. Now the licensee has to pay back. Now, but what if you know that the licensee is in a financial health where he is capable of paying back his interest, does not face any credit cap, then it's quite logical then that it is going to kill some of your market share. So that is the reason why the licensor here do not offer his best technology, but an inferior technology. And this is again another situation where we show that the licensor, now this is a situation where the licensee was not credit capped before, but becomes credit capped once he takes the license from the licensor. So again, you find that there is a common region where the profit of both firms are increasing. And this is where the deal can be agreed between the firms. But this is a case where the licensor is trying to offer the licensee a good to moderate technology. Why? Because it knows that the license is not capable of expanding its output beyond a certain unit, because if it tries to do that, then it is crossing its borrowing limit, and the banks will not permit it to borrow more than its limit. So these are some of the things that we worked out. The next thing that I would like to talk about is this. Is the slide visible to everybody?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is called a negative license deal. What is it? So we are considering here a situation where the licensor, I mentioned about in the very beginning that cross-patent license agreements are better in the sense that the lot of financial disputes that you find between the firms unable to pay, unable to make a timely payment of the royalty or the license fee. So to combat that, the best is a two-way licensing of technology. That is, you have something to offer to me, I have something to offer to you. So you cannot penalize me, I cannot penalize you. So there's a, if that kind of a deal is possible, it in some way it can overcome the financial disputes between the firms. So our initial planning was to see whether a two-way transfer of technology is possible in our case. So what is the situation here? We are considering two firms, a foreign firm and a domestic firm. So a foreign firm has a technology which has two features. One is it has a technology that will help the weaker firm to reduce its marginal cost. But again, it has a technology, there's a combination of technology that we are considering technically, that's called the hybrid technology or a mixed technology transfer. So hybrid technology is nothing new that we are doing. It has been already addressed in the literature quite a good number of times. But what exactly is it? So two things that we had in our mind. First is whether a two-way transfer of technology can be profitable in the situation that we are considering. The second thing that we wanted to know is the literature has hardly addressed the issue of fixed cost in production. You know that industries like particularly capital intensive industries like automobiles, the big industries, the machine industries, they incur a huge cost on the fixed costs of production. These are usually sunk costs. Sunk cost means you cannot recover that cost, right? So once they incur such fixed costs in production, gradually with time, it is seen that they are able to reduce their marginal cost of production. So, so right now, for instance, when you see that AI is coming up, so it's a huge investment on AI. So that's your fixed cost. But the question is, once you are able to bear that fixed cost, gradually it will help you to reduce your marginal cost of production. Many times, as I mentioned in the beginning, the foreign firms try to outsource those stages of production, particularly stages which emit a lot of pollution, stages where labor laws are very stringent, to the developing countries. You know, developing countries, when there is no other alternative to provide a job to the people, to the mass, then it's better to go by this global value chain, although India does not have a good share in the global value chain. So the question is now, this fixed cost of production was very important to us. Why this has not been so much addressed in the literature? So we took a combination of technology that's called the marginal cost and the fixed cost that both firms have to offer. One of them has got the feature of a good marginal cost, that is, it is operating with a lower marginal cost, but at the same time it is operating with a higher fixed cost of production. The other firm is good at its fixed cost of production, that is, it has the avenues to reduce its fixed cost, but it is not that good in its marginal cost. So firm 1 is the one which has to offer a lower marginal cost, but accompanied with a higher fixed cost to firm 2. Again, 1 and 2 here, as you see on my slide, refer to firm 1. Firm 1 is my foreign firm. Firm 2 is the domestic firm. So firm 2 has a technology of high marginal cost, but a low fixed cost. Now, for the firms, whenever we address these issues in the literature, one thing that I would like to mention, those who will be interested in doing the theoretical work in this line, that is, first of all, you have to find the market conditions for the firms to stay in the market. That is, what is my reservation profit? Suppose I'm not agreeing to any license or anything, but for me to stay in the market, there is a minimum requirement. That is, my fixed cost cannot be too high. As I'm having a high fixed cost, I'm a foreign firm, I'm coming to sell my products into your country. So if my fixed cost is too high, I will not be able to survive in the market. Your fixed cost is low, but your marginal cost is high. If your marginal cost is so high, you will not be able to survive in the market. So for profits of both the firms to remain positive, you get from there the conditions, the reservation profit conditions, you basically get the conditions for the firms to stay in the market, whatever be the case. License, I may agree, I may not agree. The deals may be profitable, not profitable. So in every possible way, you know that those conditions have to be maintained. Those conditions have to be satisfied. That is, the firms have to stay in the market. Now, as you see the difference between F1 and F2, I have marked a few points here. One is F underscore, one is F cap, one is FF, one is FG, one is F bar. What is the significance of this? So firm 1, when it is offering its technology to firm 2, then the deal can be successful when it is on this line. That is below F underscore. Below F underscore. Whether you want to take that F underscore, that's the point of indifference. Students in economics know that. So basically, this is the area for firm 1 to offer its license to firm 2. Again, this is the area for a successful licensing deal from firm 2 to firm 1. Now, you see that I have mentioned two things. T stands for license fee, R stands for the royalty rates. When it is being charged by firm 1, I am denoting them as T1 and R1. When it is being offered by firm 2, I am denoting them by T2 and R2. If you see that when firm 1 offers its license to firm 2, then it is always a positive license fee or a positive royalty, which means that when firm 1 transfers its technology to firm 2, and if the difference in the fixed cost is not too high, that is, it is below F underscore, then the licensor, that is firm 2, will be able to compensate the the licensee, that is firm 2, will be able to compensate the licensor by paying a positive fixed fee and a positive royalty. However, we find that in this, and the technology transfer, as I mentioned, it's a transfer of a hybrid technology. So for a hybrid technology transfer from firm 1 to firm 2, you find that firm 2 is in a position to pay back to firm 1 when it's when the difference in its fixed cost is not too high. The second thing that we show here is that when the differences in the fixed cost is little high, then firm 2 can have a successful license deal with firm 1. However, we show that there is a split. Up to a certain area, I find that we find that the license fee and the royalty is negative, which means the licensor is trying to subsidize the licensing. And there is another area where the licensee is compensating the licensor. Question is, why do I get this kind of a result? So here, in case of a technology transfer from firm 2 to firm 1, what we find is the licensor here, that is firm 2, even after the transfer of technology, for a zero cost, that is for a free cost, if it is transferring the technology to firm 1, its profit after the transfer is greater than its reservation profit. 3 situations can arise out of it. Either the firm 1 industry profit has to rise. In the beginning, as I mentioned, industry profit has to rise, and in my case, the firm 2, who is the licensor, his reservation profit is always higher than his his licensing profit is always higher than his reservation profit. So 3 situations may arise out of it. First is licensees, that is firm 1's reservation profit is higher than the profit after licensing. Profit after licensing is higher than his reservation profit, or is indifferent between the 2. So this is the region that is below FF that I have marked, is the region where we find that the reservation profit of firm 1, the buyer of the technology, is higher than the profit that he can earn out of licensing. But as I mentioned, the licensor throughout in this region gains after licensing. So he tries to compensate the licensee, that is firm 1 in this region. However, in the right of this, we find that the profit of the licensee, that is firm 1, is higher than that of than his reservation profit. So here he is in a position to pay back to the licensor. Another interesting thing that we find here is that even if the reservation profit of one of the firms is lower than the other, yet there is a scope for that firm to engage in technology licensing, which is usually not the case. Usually you find in the market the firms who are weaker, at least in the market they are earning less, they usually do not license their technology. Another important finding in our case that we find is this. So this is basically a welfare function. So firms now, because we are doing a backward induction, firms now are calculating. There are 2 things. Suppose, for instance, the situation of America, if we call, Donald Trump is imposing huge tariff. So basically, it wants the firms, the so-called foreign firms, to establish their units to improve their supply chain in US, so that the US economy can grow. While if you try to export the product to US, you have to suffer a huge cost of production, and of course in that case you have to find an alternative route. US being a large buyer of our goods, of course India will be in trouble, many other countries will be in trouble. Question is, will licensing be a good solution in this regard? Now here we are talking about licensing of final goods, not the intermediate goods. So firms try to calculate through backward induction in this way, that if suppose I have to stay in the market, government has imposed a tariff. By the way, we are considering a kind of tariff that's called a pre-committed tariff. That is, once the government commits to this tariff, it is not going to change the tariff rate depending on the licensing outcome. That means through this licensing deals, the foreign firms are earning a good amount, and then I'm going to change my tariff rate. These things are not happening. So it's a pre-committed tariff that we are considering. You can always refer to the paper by Kobiraj and Marjit, written in 2003 in European Economic Review. It's a good paper to do this kind of trade policy implications in licensing game theory. So, so there is a minimum rate of tariff and the maximum rate of tariff. So I have to stay within that range to stay in the market. The first requirement. That's my reservation. That's my reservation outcome. First of all, I have to stay in the market. The second is we calculated that if tariff is being imposed and we are going for licensing, then the welfare function will be maximized well. So we find that if the tariff rate is above this T tilde, then welfare from licensing will be higher than the welfare from no licensing. By the way, I just forgot to mention in this slide that in the beginning, our intention was to see if there is a possibility of two-way transfer of technology. Unfortunately, we just found a one-way transfer of technology between the firms, because you find that there is a region of no licensing. There's a region where the licensing deal cannot be profitable. So two-way transfer of technology was not possible in our case. Next, coming to this. So the firms, if they're in the no licensing region, that is, they are just trying to enter into your market, they know the best options for them is either to export or to license, whatever be the case. So, there is this welfare function. By the way, this welfare function comprises of the profit of the domestic firm and the consumer surplus, because you're considering the domestic economy here. So your profit producer surplus would comprise of the profit of the domestic firm. Achha, now, so what we found from here is, if the government intends to maximize its welfare, then what is the range where it can impose its tariff? So the range is to the right of T tilde. However, if it wants the firm to stay back in that region where they do not want to go for licensing, then that optimal tariff rate, which will maximize the welfare in that situation, is to the left of T tilde. So basically, you see that we have drawn a dotted curve and not a very smooth curve. That's because the rate of tariff which maximizes the welfare in the no licensing region happens to lie in the wrong domain. It should have been to the left. It is lying to the right. So there is always a tendency of the firms to go for licensing, because this T star, if you see, this T star gives you a welfare which is much higher than the welfare under no licensing. So the government will always be inclined to impose such a tariff to encourage the firms, particularly the foreign firms, to license its technology to the domestic firm. One more good thing about this is that the consumer surplus in this situation. So this consumer surplus, if you see, in this situation is definitely, if it's T star, suppose T star, as I mentioned, is the optimal rate of tariff, is definitely higher than that in the case of no licensing. We did not extend the curve. However, if the consumer surplus is not being compromised, then what good can be for the economy? That is, the firm is coming to sell his technology to the domestic firm, so it loses some share. Because it loses some share, it now thinks whether exporting the good would be better or licensing the good would be better. In this situation, the government of the domestic country decides on a tariff rate, a pre-committed tariff, that it is not going to change with time. And then after calculation of all this, government finds that my welfare after licensing in the economy is higher than if they did not go for licensing. And you know that once the tariff is being imposed on the domestic firm, because its marginal cost of production rises, then there will be an impact on the prices of the price of the good, because your prices are a reflection of your cost of production. But in this case, because it is offering the technology to the domestic firm, there's a growth in competition. This competition between the firms will pull down the price, and that is why consumer welfare in this situation will be not compromised. will not be compromised. So that is what we have found from here. But another interesting thing that we tried but the outcome is ambiguous. That is, in the beginning, as I mentioned, this situation. I do not know whether time will permit me, or should I take some questions, because I've talked a lot. I do not know whether the topic seems to be interesting for all or not. Proshenjit, are you there in the line? Proshenjit?
Yes, yes, I am here. It is very enriching and wonderful presentation, Didi. Very nice presentation. You can carry on.
Others, I do not know whether they are at all interested.
Yes,
Not.
yes,
You
yes.
can just raise your hand. That's a way to how I ask my students whether they are at all interested in my lecture or not. So if you could kindly raise your hand so that I can confirm whether it is something interesting or that is
Okay. Students and
Hello.
other members are informed to please raise hands
at least
so
the
that
students
she
can
can
raise your hand.
understand.
Not the faculty
Yeah.
member. See, Proshenjit, I think
Yeah, everybody is listening, Didi. You can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just continue.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we will start the question answer session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you can see, this is another part of our research. So here we are considering the situation of intra-brand competition versus inter-brand competition. So there is a foreign firm which is offering its technology to a domestic firm. Both are producing very similar goods. So we call them, literature quotes them as intra-brand competitors, intra-brand. And then there is presence of another firm, another foreign firm, which is providing a better quality of the good than these two firms. So quality wise, there is a foreign firm which is already existing in the market, which consumers might prefer on two grounds. As I mentioned in the beginning, those who are not conversant with parameters of differentiation, that is horizontal and vertical differentiation. So there's no reason. I just prefer a particular product. I prefer branded medicines. I prefer Apple iPhone. There is no reason. But there is a reason I prefer branded things, because I think quality-wise they are better. The components in their making are far better. So there are a lot of studies on that. We are not getting into that. So there are two ways consumers are differentiating in the market. So in the conventional literature, when this licensor comes to sell his offer his license, sell would be a wrong word to use here, offer his license to the licensee, in that case, the presence of this foreign producer who is also there in the market was not considered. So in a way, the conventional literature of licensing addressed this issue in a way where the presence of the foreign counterpart who is there in the market was not being considered. So optimal license contract on the basis of that, the consequences of licensing due to that were not being considered. Now here what we consider is this is an extension of a paper by Q&A Sinha 2020. So he considered in his paper the role of only horizontal differentiation. Additionally, we consider here the role of vertical differentiation. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, for any firm to stay in the market, this calculation will be made in the very beginning. That is, you can see that there is something called alpha minus D being written here. This alpha is the quality that is being provided by my superior brand who is existing in the market. and D is the marginal cost that it is incurring to provide that quality. And the other firm, that is my domestic firm, operates with a marginal cost of C. C, as you can see, I have marked it on the vertical axis. We can call this C as also the size of innovation. What is size of innovation? Say, for instance, you are operating with a marginal cost of 0.4, and I am operating with a marginal cost of 0.1. So after the technology transfer, if I offer you the entire, if I offer you the best of the technology, which is 0.1, then your marginal cost drops from 0.4 to 0.1. What if I was operating in a little higher marginal cost, say for instance 0.5? Then in that case, the drop is higher, which means the licensor is giving larger benefit to the licensee if the licensor can reduce the marginal cost of the licensee by a greater extent. So the size of innovation plays a very important role in the licensing literature. Another important thing that is very important, particularly when you are considering a differentiated goods market, are the role of the parameters called gamma, which is the degree of substitution, and alpha minus D, which is again the parameter for quality. Now, if you see that there is a blue line that is going through, I'll not, because the time, we don't have time, I'll just explain what is there in the graph. It looks very complicated, but it's although it's not that complicated. Whenever my marginal cost is lying below this blue line, then there is a licensing is profitable. However, if my marginal cost is above this blue line, as I've marked, no licensing, NL stands for no licensing, then there is no scope for licensing. So there is a line which is, there is rather a border that is creating a difference between licensing and no licensing. Again, you see that there is a green line. The green line is being called CU. What does it mean? So in the licensing literature, two things are important. Whether the innovation that is being done by the licensor is a drastic innovation or a non-drastic innovation. What is the difference? You have heard about dumping. Can anyone tell me what exactly you understand by dumping? Anyone? What exactly do you understand by dumping? When the foreign firms you hear about coming and dumping into your nation, can that go on? Can that go on for a long time? What do you feel? Anyone, please interact with me so that it would be more interesting. Anyone? Can anyone? Those who are from
Hello.
Yeah, please. Taposh, please tell me.
Hello, madam.
Yes, Taposh.
Madam,
Huh.
when a foreign firm start their business in home country with low price.
Right. That means in a way you are able to reduce your marginal cost. ঠিক আছে, আমি ফরেন কান্ট্রিতে বসে আমার কস্টটাকে রিডিউস এতটাই করতে পারছি, হ্যাঁ, কেন আমি তো আমার প্রাইস ইজ আ রিফ্লেকশন অফ মাই কস্ট, তাহলে সেই জন্য আমি কম দামে বিক্রি করতে পারছি। সো আই কাম এন্ড সেল ইনটু ইওর নেশন বিকজ I can bear that low marginal cost, and of course I am getting subsidy from the government. You know about this green box, amber box. Many of you, I think, those who know about India's relationship with the WTO have heard about all these technical things. So what are they? Basically, the government is trying to give you subsidy. It enables you to reduce your marginal cost, and accordingly, you can charge a low price, such a low price that my marginal cost is still so high that I have to set a price much above your price, and I will not be able to stay in the market. Taito? Taposh, are we on the same line? Is that what you mean to say?
Yes, madam.
হ্যাঁ, তার মানে আমার প্রাইসটা এতটাই হাই যে ফরেন ফার্ম এসে এত কম দামে বিক্রি করে চলে যাচ্ছে যে আমি মার্কেটে টিকতে পারছি না, তাই তো? তো দ্য কোয়েশ্চেন ইজ, ক্যান দ্যাট গো অন ইন দ্য লং রান?
ওই জন্য গভর্নমেন্ট অ্যান্টি ডাম্পিং ডিউটি চার্জ করে।
হ্যাঁ, এটাই এক্স্যাক্টলি। তার মানে এখানে একটা যদি গভর্নমেন্ট ট্যারিফ বসায়, ঠিক আছে, তার মানে ওর মার্জিনাল কস্টটাকে বাড়িয়ে দিল, মার্জিনাল কস্ট বাড়িয়ে দিলে অটোমেটিক্যালি এবারে একটু বেশি দামে বিক্রি করবে, ঠিক আছে। অফকোর্স উই আর নট টকিং অ্যাবাউট প্রহিবিটিভ ট্যারিফ হিয়ার, মানে এতটা ট্যারিফ বাড়িয়ে দিল যে ও মার্কেটে টিকতে পারলো না, তা না। বিকজ ইন দ্য বিগিনিং অ্যাজ আই মেনশন, সবসময় মার্কেট কন্ডিশনস গুলো যাতে মার্কেটে ফার্মগুলো টিকতে পারে, দ্যাট হ্যাজ টু বি এনশিওরড before you calculate any other thing. You're doing a backward induction, you're doing a game theory, everything is okay. But then in the beginning, আমরা কি মার্কেটে আছি, ফার্মগুলো কি মার্কেটে আছে, সেই হিসেবটা কিন্তু আগে আমাকে দেখে নিতে হবে, তারপরে সব ক্যালকুলেশনস। তাহলে এখানে যেটা হচ্ছে, what is happening here is, এই যে নীল রেখাটা এর নিচে লাইসেন্সিং হচ্ছে, and above this নীল রেখা there is no licensing. একটা গ্রিন রেখা যাচ্ছে, গ্রিন রেখার ওপরে ইনোভেশনটাকে আমি বলছি ড্রাস্টিক, আর তার নিচে বলছি নন ড্রাস্টিক। কেন এই ডাম্পিং এর ইস্যুটা আনলাম? বিকজ দিস ইজ কানেক্টেড টু দিস ড্রাস্টিক এন্ড নন ড্রাস্টিক ইনোভেশন। ড্রাস্টিক ইনোভেশন মানে হচ্ছে গিয়ে যে উইকার ফার্ম, সে যদি লাইসেন্সটা না নেয় স্ট্রঙ্গার ফার্মের থেকে, দেন ইট ক্যানট সার্ভাইভ ইন দ্য মার্কেট। আর নন ড্রাস্টিক ইনোভেশন মানে আমি যদি ইনোভেশনটা নাও বাই করি ওর কাছ থেকে, then I will be able to stay in the market. I mean, what exactly is drastic innovation? If my marginal cost is above a critical threshold, that's called drastic innovation, and if it is below that, then it's called non-drastic innovation. তার মানে আমরা এখানে দুটো রেখা দেখেছি, একটা নীল রেখা, একটা গ্রিন রেখা। আরেকটা রেখা সেটা একটা অরেঞ্জ রেখা। This is basically the optimal royalty contract. অর্থাৎ এর ওপরে যদি সি থাকে, মানে আমার কস্টটা কতটা রিডিউস হবে সেটাই অরেঞ্জ রেখা দিয়ে ডিসাইডেড হচ্ছে। যদি আমি ইফ আই গো ফর আ রয়্যালটি কন্ট্রাক্ট, এবারে আমি এতটা পে করলাম, সাপোজ আই এম হিয়ার, sorry, suppose I am here, I do not know whether my cursor is able to reflect where I am. Suppose I am here, somewhere here above this orange rekha, suppose I am here somewhere, then in that case the licensor is in a position to charge a royalty, not below that. কেন? আমার খরচা যা কমাবে, ঠিক আছে, আমি যা পে করছি, আমি এখানে এতটা পে করছি আর আমার খরচা হচ্ছে এখানে, তো আমি খরচা বেশি দিলাম, আমার দাম কম কমালো, তাহলে I will definitely not agree for that agreement. সেই জন্য whenever the marginal cost or your size of innovation is above this orange rekha, then there is a scope for a royalty contract. So what we show here in this entire figure, as you see, that degree of substitution is a degree of substitution and the quality net of cost. These are very important parameters in deciding the optimal license contract. So in the beginning, we make this calculation that my debtor firm, who is my foreign firm, who is existing in the market before that other foreign firm entered into my territory. So this firm, in order to stay in the market, has got a range within which his quality net of cost will lie. Or quality net of cost একটা রেঞ্জের মধ্যে আছে। আর ওইটা যদি ওর বাউন্ডের মধ্যে না থাকে, তাহলে ফার্ম যে কোয়ালিটিটা যদি ওর থেকে খারাপ হয়ে যায়, then this firm will be automatically driven out of the market. Similarly, যে domestic firm, for that to stay in the market, ওর marginal cost will lie within a certain domain. ওর যদি মার্জিনাল কস্ট বেশি ইমপ্রুভ করে যায়, মানে ওই রেঞ্জের বাইরে বেরিয়ে যায়, তাহলে কিন্তু অন্য ফার্মটা মার্কেটে সার্ভাইভ করতে পারবে না। তো দিস থিংস আর প্রিটি অবভিয়াস। Now what we show here is that you see that I have marked F non-drastic greater than 0, F non-drastic greater than 0. What exactly mean? It means that এরকম একটা জায়গায় যে ফার্মটা অলরেডি মার্কেটে এক্সিস্ট করছে, ওর কোয়ালিটিটা যদি মোটামুটি একটা রেঞ্জে থাকে, সাইজ অফ দি ইনোভেশন যদি মোটামুটি একটা রেঞ্জে থাকে, দেন in that case the licensor can license his technology for a fixed license fee. এটা কেন হচ্ছে? There is an effect about which I do not know. Again, if the time permits, I'll just talk about it in just 2 minutes. সেটাকে বলা হয় business stealing effect. Business stealing effect. আমি লাইসেন্সার, আমি টেকনোলজিটা দিয়ে দিলাম, আমার শেয়ার কমে গেল, কিন্তু যে পেলো টেকনোলজিটা সে যদি মার্কেটটাকে স্টিল করে নিয়ে আসতে পারে এক্সিস্টিং ফার্ম থেকে, যে কোয়ালিটি ওয়াইজ এগিয়ে আছে, তাহলে আমি ও কতটা মার্কেট ভাঙিয়ে নিয়ে আসবে তার উপরে ডিসাইড করব যে আমি কি ওর কাছ থেকে লাইসেন্স ফি চার্জ করব নাকি রয়্যালটি চার্জ করব। আমি যদি দেখি যে ও খুব বেশি মার্কেট ভাঙাতে পারছে না, বাট দের ইজ আ স্কোপ ফর মি টু হ্যাভ আ প্রফিটেবল লাইসেন্স ডিল, দেন ইন দ্যাট কেস আমি দেখছি আমার একটা ডিলের জায়গা আছে কিন্তু ও বেশি মার্কেট ভাঙাতে পারছে না, তাহলে আমি ওর সাথে খুব বেশি ফার্ম হব না। মানে আমি এমন করে একটা রেট চার্জ করব, রেট মানে এখানে আমি রয়্যালটি নেব নাকি 2 পার্ট ট্যারিফ নেব নাকি ফিক্সড ফি। তো আমরা যেটা দেখিয়েছি এখানে সেটা হচ্ছে রয়্যালটিটা একটু এক্সট্রিম হয়ে যায়, এক্ষেত্রেও 2 পার্ট ট্যারিফ চার্জ করবে। কিন্তু যদিও অনেকটা মার্কেট ভাঙিয়ে নিয়ে আসতে পারে, কেন সাইজ অফ ইনোভেশন খুব ভালো, বা মানে সাইজ অফ ইনোভেশন মানে আমি এতটা মার্জিনাল কস্টটা কমিয়ে দিচ্ছি যে ও ওই ফার্মটা কোয়ালিটি ওয়াইজ এগিয়ে আছে কিন্তু আমি ওকে ওর থেকে অনেকটা শেয়ার পেয়ে যাচ্ছি, তাহলে আমি রয়্যালটি চার্জ করব। আর আরেকটা জায়গা যেখানে এই জায়গাটা তো আগেই বললাম যে যদি দেখা যায় যে সাইজ অফ ইনোভেশন ও ফেভারেবল, কোয়ালিটি নেট অফ কস্ট একটা এমন জায়গায় যেটা নট টু হাই নট টু লো, তাহলে ফিক্সড ফিটা চার্জ করে বেটার। আচ্ছা, এই অবস্থাতে we also show that if this foreign firm মানে যে এখনো লাইসেন্স করবে কি করবে না ভাবছে, তার উপরে যদি ট্যারিফ বসানো হয়, এবং ট্যারিফ তো শুধু আমি একটা ফরেন ফার্মের উপরে বসালাম অন্যজনের উপরে বসালাম তা তো হবে না, দুজনের উপরেই একটা ট্যারিফ বসালাম। The question is, if such a tariff is being imposed, then will the welfare after licensing go up? তো গভর্নমেন্ট ক্যালকুলেট করে দেখছে যে ওয়েলফেয়ারটা উইল গো আপ। তাহলে এরকম একটা ছবিতে এটা একটু হয়তো অসুবিধা হতে পারে বুঝতে, যে এরকম একটা ট্যারিফ রেট যদি বসানো হয় তাহলে একটা ফিজিবল রিজন অফ লাইসেন্সিং পাওয়া যাচ্ছে। বাট দ্য অনলি প্রবলেম হিয়ার ইজ about the calculation of consumer surplus. কেননা in the beginning, as I mentioned, overall economic welfare increased করলো, very good. But what about the consumer welfare? Consumer যদি অনেকটা compromised হয়, হ্যাঁ, কেন ফরেন ফার্মের উপরে ট্যারিফ বসে গেছে, অটোমেটিক্যালি ও দামটাকে বাড়াতে চাইবে, তাহলে কিভাবে ফরেন ফার্মটা এখানে will react to this decision? A lot depends on that, of how what is going to finally happen to my consumers welfare. সেই জন্য consumers welfare এর যে অ্যানালিসিসটা that's basically ambiguous here. এখানে certainly বলা যায় না যে consumer welfare বাড়তে পারে যদি this particular firm who is better in quality compromise the quality, তখন আবার কি হচ্ছে যে ফার্মটার কোয়ালিটি অত ভালো না তখন ও কম্পিট করে দামটাকে কমিয়ে দেবে। That kind of thing can happen in this situation. However, we did not extend it further. This is what we have derived. That's all I have to say. Proshinjit, over to you now.
Thank you, Ms. Shashwati Chakraborty, for this enriching and wonderful lecture, and also captivating. And I hope we all get benefited from this lecture. Now, I may request Dr. Boshak to start the question answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Das. It's time for question answer session. And before going to question answer session, I may request you to kindly fill up the feedback form already given in the inbox to obtain e-certificate, as I mentioned earlier. So this is time for question answer. Please raise your hands, and to begin with questions, he or she must say their names or tell their names to our speaker and to whom your question is going to. If anyone
I think they will require some time to absorb what is being
no,
said.
sorry, Tahim, no, it's quite normal that nobody has the question right now to
If they
say
are
because of
if they're active in the meeting, I suppose.
no. Your lecture is
আচ্ছা আমি একটা কথা বলি দাদা, বলছি কেউ যদি বাংলা বা হিন্দিতে কথা বলতে চায় তাহলেও হবে, যে কোনো মানে বাংলা হিন্দি ইংলিশ তিনটের মধ্যে যে কোনো একটা ভাষায় তুমি কোয়েশ্চেন আস্ক করতে পারো, কোনো অসুবিধা নেই একদম। আর আমরা কিন্তু এখানে ফার্স্ট সেশনটাকে ইনক্লুড করছি, হ্যাঁ দুটো সেশন মিলিয়েই কোয়েশ্চেন করা হবে এখানে
একদম আপনারা যারা এখানে
স্টুডেন্টকে
আছেন
বলছি এবং সবাইকেই বলছি, রিকোয়েস্ট
আমাদের
করছি যে
দুজন
যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন
এমিনেন্ট
থাকে
স্পিকার
অবশ্যই
আছেন
একদম।
হ্যাঁ, তাদেরকে আপনারা কোয়েশ্চেন করতে পারেন, আপনাদের নিজস্ব মনে যে ধরনের প্রশ্ন আসছে আপনারা করতে পারেন।
Hello, hello. May I ask a question to Dr. Shopon Sarkar, sir?
Yes, please.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So, sir, I'm Bishwajit De, PhD Scholar, University of Calcutta. Sir, I just want to ask you, sir, two questions. Like in your first slide, you have stated like a just future. Sir, can you explain what is the meaning of just future in context of sustainability and role of business? How the business can bring this just future concept? And my second question is that in digital era, there are lots of digital innovation taken place and brought out by the business. Sir, this will ensure one of the social SDG goal, that is innovation. Again, by ensure such innovation, the people also face some digital distress just to comply with or to go through with this such innovative digital apps, etc. So, can you explain me, sir, how a business can trade off between such digital innovation and also how the business can reduce such digital distress or digital well-being, can ensure digital well-being in this ensuring such sustainable development goal. Sir, these are my two questions to Dr. Sharkar, sir.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Now, regarding your first question, the term just, I have tried to mean justified. That is what is required, what is justified from the societal point of view, what is justified from the economic and environmental point of view. So in that way, just future means the future that we all expect, that we all will welcome. In that way, the just future, the term can be interpreted. With respect to your second question, it is true that there are certain limitations to the digital technology, and the limitations are still to overcome. There are certain ill effects that we can see. And with respect to the business strategy, whenever the business is coming up with certain digital innovation and it sees that there are certain ill effects also being found, then the business should provide at the time of showing or at the time of making that digital innovation available, certain disclaimer that these are the ill effects, and you need to actually choose between the positive impact and the negative impact. And in case you find that this digital technologies are going wrong, then certain feedback also may be received by the organization, and those feedback may be used to make certain changes in that particular technology. And also, it is a duty on the part of the organization to make awareness program possible with regard to the key effects of the digital innovations, so that the fruits that the positive impact of the digital innovation can be maximized and the ill effects can be minimized. Any other question?
Well, I think no other question need to ask to our resource persons. Uh, if you have completed, then we go to the next part and the concluding part of our webinar. That is vote of thanks. Now it's time to, I request our co-convener of this webinar, Mr. Chandan Noskar, to give vote of thanks to our dignitaries as well as participants. Over to you, Chandan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am honored to have the opportunity to deliver the vote of thanks for today's event. First, I would like to thank our esteemed speaker, Dr. Swapan Sarkar, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, University of Calcutta, and Dr. Shashwati Chakraborty, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, for their insightful and engaging presentation. Your expertise and perspective have been truly valuable to us. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to the Dr. B.K. Goswami, President of Shantipur College, and to the Dr. Subrato Roy, Teacher in Charge of Shantipur College. With this, Dr. Dipankar Bhattacharya, Coordinator of IQAC, Shantipur College, Dr. Anirban Bhattacharya, Convener of Seminar Subcommittee, Shantipur College. I would like to thanks to the event organizer, my senior Dr. Nobendu Basak, Associate Professor and HOD Department of Commerce, Shantipur College, with Dr. Prosenjit Das, Assistant Professor, HOD Department of Economics, Shantipur College, and their team for their tireless effort in making this event a success. Their dedication and hard work are greatly appreciated. Finally, I want to thank each of you for your participation and engagement. To the faculty members, research scholars, students, and others, your presence made this event truly memorable one. Thank you all for your supports, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I would like to ask my senior Dr. Nobendu Basak to say some few words and end this webinar here. Thank you to Nobendu Basak.
Thank you, Chandan, for your encouraging vote of thanks. And after all, this seminar is a team effort. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank all the resource persons, Dr. Swapan Sarkar and Ms. Shashwati Chakraborty, and all other participants who are present here. On behalf of Department of Commerce and Department of Economics of Shantipur College, we would like to thank you, everyone. Thank you, and I declare the end of this particular webinar. Thank you, and we hope that in future we organize such kind of seminar in a large manner. With your cooperation and with your support, thank you very much. we will end the session. আমরা এখানে মিটিংটা আজকে শেষ করলাম। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাডাম।
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you.
Thank you, Prasimli.
Thank you, Shashwati Di and Dr. Sarkar.
Welcome.
So we now leave the call. you.